we start.
चलो
So we're just going to go over the the major diagrams of a few of the market structures. So perfect combination में अगर हम you look at quantity, and then you have a lot of stuff. You have price, you have cost, you have etc. etc. So perfect combination with the demand curve is absolutely elastic. This is also your AR. Sorry, this is yeah, this is also your AR.
yeah, this is the AR.
Say
Also
it.
the MR.
Yeah, obviously it's the marginal revenue as well. And then you have your MC curve cutting, and obviously the perfectly
Yeah.
comparative firm, sorry, the comparative, uh, the profit maximizing firm would try to equate MC with MR to have Q. That's where it would have the maximum profit. And अगर ये proper perfect competition को हम long run में देखें, then it should just have normal profits. So your average, so your AC should dip right here, so that AR, AC, AR is also equal. And MC, MR हमने इधर equate कर दिया. So that's profit maximizing point. And here you can only have normal profits in long run because of the absence of barriers to entry. Short run में आप दिखा सकते हो super normal profits by just making the AC curve a little bit above the AR curve. But yeah, long run in only normal profits. And one thing, because I used to be confused with this as well. This is not necessarily what you might call your break-even point. Like, because when we talk about costs in economics, we talk about both the explicit costs and the implicit costs. Where the implicit costs are your opportunity costs of factors of production owned by the firm. So even with normal profits, अगर आप purely I don't have accounts, but I guess आप purely accountant के perspective से देखो, you would still be making some sort of
A
profit.
decent profit, yeah.
Yeah, profit फिर भी होगा economics की तरफ से, because you take into account the opportunity cost. So there here your normal profits just mean cost profit is equals to cost. But the cost में हम opportunity cost, that is your explicit cost को भी ले रहे हैं. That's why. Here, I guess perfect competition. I don't remember any other major diagram. Do you?
नहीं, इसके अलावा मेरे ख्याल में कोई और है नहीं.
Exactly. And I mean, the two things we could point out here is why is the firm, productively efficient and allocatively productively efficient, because it's producing at min AC, minimum average cost. If you looky here, so like this is the point of minimum average cost. How do you know that? Because MC cuts the AC curve at its minimum. That's just the mathematical relationship. And allocatively, for the economy, allocative efficiency is where no redistribution of resources can make anyone better off without making anyone else worse off. However, for the firm, हम कहते हैं price is equals to MC is your allocative efficiency ka point, and इसकी logic थी about how that is where consumer and producer surplus is maximized, so maximum benefit for society. So here, because MC and this is your price, so you're pricing at MC, and hence you are both productively and allocatively efficient. And I think that's pretty much it for perfect competition. Right? So let's go to monopoly first, and then we'll come back to monopolistic competition. So monopoly, you make the same thing here. You have quantity here, a lot of weird duda on the y-axis. So monopoly mein you have the demand curve downward sloping, which is your AR. Excuse the handwriting. And you have your MR, which falls twice as much. So basically, whoops. So basically, MR ka gradient, though both the gradients are negative, but MR ka gradient is going to be twice as much. So like one way to look at it is that when they cut the x-axis, this and this are going to be equal. Like the distance this should be equal. But here, the MC slopes upwards as it normally does. MC, and you would produce quantity Q because MC is equals to MR. That's where the profit maximizing point. And Q quantity, say you would let the demand curve decide the price. Note that in a monopoly, in a true monopoly, there is no supply curve because there is no price and quantity, basically kya kehte hain, relationship going on that allows us to plot the supply curve, because the monopolist just looks at Q by figuring out MR and MC and then just finds out price with the demand curve. So this is your price, and इसमें two things could happen. You could, if you wanted to show थोड़ा अजीब सा बन गया. But if you wanted to show supernormal profits, you show your AC, which is a little weirdly drawn, but you show that. Oh, sorry. If you want to show losses, so you just show that your AC curve is above your AR curve at this particular point. AR curve is this demand curve. AC curve is above it, so this would be your area of loss. If you, on the other hand, wanted to show supernormal profits, the AC curve would at that particular point, it doesn't matter about other points, but at that particular point it would, well, this is a bit bad. Bura AC curve bani gaya. Wait. Let me see if I can draw it again. Sorry, AC curve. Yeah, so AC curve would somehow, very, okay, still it's a bad AC curve. But at this particular point, it would be below AR. So this is your per unit supernormal profit, and this area would give you supernormal profits. So that's how you can show either losses or supernormal profits under monopoly. Anything else you think we need to add to monopoly, Ayub? We can talk about the discriminate. This is the single price monopolist. We can also talk about the price discriminating monopolist.
उसके अंदर तो AR is वो ना your MR curve.
Yeah. Sorry. Wait.
In that case, I think the AR curve is the MR curve. The demand curve itself is the MR curve.
Okay, because you're basically क्या कहते हैं, you're charging everyone their reservation price. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, that should be true. Let me just quickly flip to what do you call it? My notes में होना तो चाहिए.
Yeah, because you sell that particular thing to that specific person for however much that guy is actually willing to buy it for. So
I agree with you on that. I'm just wondering कि इसका diagram किस तरीके से बनेगा. इसका diagram पता नहीं किधर है, to be honest. But yeah, चलो इसका diagram, if we just draw from memory. So you have a discriminating monopolist. So for a large amount, it would be very similar to your normal monopolist. There you have. This would be AR, which is basically your demand curve. And I mean, I think your point is correct if we're talking about first degree price discrimination, like if you're charging everyone the reservation price, but if you're just segmenting, you're selling your product in two segmented markets, tab to maybe not. Do you get my
Tab
point?
it would break down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah, I
there would
get
be
it.
two particular points. So like and I think in fact I think हमने उसी का diagram बनाया था, because वैसे तो अगर if it's first degree मतलब price discrimination, you're just charging everyone their reservation price, you're just charging like सबके लिए different charge कर रहे हो. So then true, then the ये आपका MR हो जाता, and you would just go till wherever MR is equals to MC basically. That would be it. However, if you're not doing that, which is more realistic, and if you're just doing block pricing or something, or if you're just selling in two different markets like local and world, let's take that example, because the local market, let's assume it's highly protected by protectionist policies. So so let's say the local wali market where you can charge higher because other competition come here, you would still equate MC with MR. You still get price. Let's call this PL, price for local market, and then you charge a price lower than that, maybe for, if this is speaking QL, maybe for the international market.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah, so something of that particular sort. There are a few advantages to this. If you note, monopoly was, it's well the A आपका जो AC curve मैंने बनाए नहीं, because that really depends whether the monopoly is undergoing losses or profits. But if you notice, the monopoly usually is productively inefficient, because it never really produces at this particular point, these points where your AC is minimum. So it is productively inefficient. It's also allocatively inefficient because it's not pricing where P is equals to MC. However, when it implements discriminatory price discrimination, so somewhat the second price at least is closer to P is equals to MC. And also, this is a little messy diagram, but if you want to show deadweight loss under monopoly, so if you have AR, sorry, MR तो नहीं बनाया नहीं, ये आपका MR हो गया, and this is your MC, not drawing AC, but so you'd equate till here, you'd find the price from here. Say, but deadweight loss is this particular area, because had you priced where P is equals to MC, had you been perfectly competitive, for example, and where your price itself, sorry, that's a wrong chain of thought. Had you priced at P is equals to MC, so you would be somewhere here. So Khair, when you don't produce here, when you produce here, instead of you produce an output Q, so this particular area goes away from consumer surplus, this particular area goes away from producer surplus, and this is what we can call
The deadweight loss.
deadweight loss under monopoly. In here, the only advantage is, instead of, let's say, well, not the only advantage, but let's say I don't want to erase it. Instead of all of this becoming your deadweight loss, because if we're going to be doing at output Q, you get to still increase output. So deadweight loss is more of this particular triangle. Deadweight loss decreases down to this instead of all of this.
Yeah.
That's an advantage of a discriminating monopolist. Also, generally, for the people who buy, the product at lower prices in another market, unke liye to fayda hi hai. So, even price discrimination can have some benefits. Okay, so, do we have any other diagrams in monopoly?
I think we have lots in oligopoly.
We have lots in oligopoly. Let's just make one for monopolistic competition. There is really not really much difference in monopolistic competition and monopoly diagram wise. फिर भी बना लेते हैं. Let's just make one here, and oligopoly के लिए we'll go to a fresh slide. So monopolistic competition. जहाँ तक मुझे याद है, there's really not much फर्क except आपके demand curves थोड़े से elastic हो जाते हैं. Correct me if I'm wrong. Here, so so this would still be your AR, but it would be like more elastic because it's like it's the market power nahi hai. This would be your MR, and this would be MC, and you'd produce where, sorry, MR is equals to AR. Find a price from there, from using your demand, your AR curve, which was your demand curve, right? And here, depending on where your AC dips, if AC dipping somewhere here, you're making a loss. You're making a horrible AC curve as well, but you're making a loss. If AC, on the other hand, dips somewhere here at that particular point, remember, just at that particular point, where the particular point is this, if it's below, you're making profit, upper, loss. And that's it for monopolistic competition. So oligopoly के लिए एक fresh slide करें, unless you have something to add.
नहीं, fresh slide for oligopoly, market leadership models and all of that.
Oligopoly to
Price leadership.
Yeah. So first, we need to look at oligopoly's kink demand curve. So oligopoly has a demand curve that is elastic, and then at a particular point it becomes very inelastic. We call this it's
the king demand curve.
Demand curve. What is the reason? And this is at this time I'm assuming. This is for
the price stickiness.
Yeah. This is for a non-collusive oligopoly. Collusive के लिए भी बनाएंगे oligopoly. Yeah. Collusive के लिए तो क्या monopoly बन जाती है, but like we'll still draw that. So yeah, this is a king demand curve. पहले जरा elastic होता है, अचानक से inelastic हो जाता है. And the reason for that, intuitive reasoning, is such that oligopoly is just a few firms with with a large amount of market power. And the idea is if one firm increases its price, its output would decrease by a much larger amount because the other firms would not follow. So out of 5 people, if one person increases his price and if no one else increased price, obviously the guy who increases price, उनका उधर से output सारा निकल जाएगा, because oligopoly produces the same product basically. It may not be homogeneous, but like it's very similar. So because of that, if you increase price, your output will drastically decrease, which is basically elastic. However, if you decrease price, everyone else will follow because they don't want to lose out on their customers, on their output. And if everyone else follows, then again इतना ज़्यादा फायदा आपको नहीं हुआ, output बढ़ जाएगा थोड़ा सा because you were the first person to decrease price, but not by that much as you were hoping. Ergo, and if you really remember AS के हिसाब से, in fact, because this is your elastic region, this is your inelastic region, right? So in elastic, if you want to maximize total revenue, हम बोलते थे कि
we increase price.
No, you used to decrease price.
Decrease price.
Okay. You should decrease price to maximize, for TR maximization. And obviously you can make the entire link here. You decrease price, quantity increases by a much larger amount, so TR maximized. In inelastic, you used to increase price because the quantity will decrease, but it won't decrease by that much, and hence TR max. So So your total revenue maximization point in this particular case, and the reason why that is the price that operates, is this. Because either if you are here, you would want to increase price. If you're here, you want to decrease price. Again, just further reinforcing price rigidity, right? मतलब आप इसी price पे more or less rare हो गए. Okay, so and another reason for price rigidity, one was elastic. In elastic से हमने intuitively कर लिया, how they won't follow ये वो etc. Another reason is if you look at your MR curves, so I think it goes like this, and then as this
it breaks.
Yeah, I think ऐसे ही टूटता था ना, sorry.
हाँ, और इसके बीच में आपके MC curves आते हैं.
Basically, so as इधर आप देखो, so this is your discontinuous region or the gap. So yeah, in this is sorry, this is AR, that is your demand curve, and this is MR. Now, not necessarily, MCs don't necessarily have to come between this, but the idea is if MC changes, if cost conditions change, and hopefully you can draw better, a little better than this. Okay, let's try to draw a little better than this. Acha. If MC changes, but not much better, but if those changes are within the gap, that would have no effect on pricing quantity. That would have no effect because it's still within the gap, right? So kuch fark nahi pada. So that is another reason why of price rigidity, because your cost structure, your marginal cost can fluctuate to some degree without you worrying about price. When your marginal cost fluctuates too much, either कहीं आ रही होगी, then you differentiate with price, output up कम कर दोगे, because that's where MC is equal to MR. इधर because MR टूट गया तो MC बीच में जितना भी जाते जाए, इधर थोड़ी बहुत changes ले आए, कोई टेंशन की बात नहीं है. These are your MC curves. वैसे होगी एक ही, but like yeah. Anything else we can draw here?
But there is a criticism of the king demand curve because it doesn't really explain where does that specific price comes from. We don't really know. So that's the biggest criticism.
Yeah, okay. So true. And वो price के model से leader and followers के आ जाता है फिर. This is all क्या कहते हैं?
Interlinked.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, this is all interlinked. I'm just wondering, does the price leader model come, like the idea of price leadership, does that come under collusive or non-collusive? I think it's going to come under non. Sorry?
I think it's going to be collusive. नहीं, collusive तो फिर monopoly जैसा ही हो जाता है. But there is a degree of collusion because no, but I'm not sure.
Sorry, but the price leadership तो आपका collusive oligopoly में ही आता है. But if you're non-collusive, तो I guess यही diagram बनेगा, and then depending on the particular AC, you can get costs or losses or revenue. I think non-collusive में इतना ही है. If you want to look at collusive oligopolies, so इसमें the first very basic diagram would just to draw a monopoly value diagram. You draw AR, because the point here is now they're all colluding now, and this is like explicit collusion में अगर, so it becomes very, very similar to a monopoly. And
because they're a single unit, they're operating as a single unit.
Yeah, basically, itna market power ke the rest of the firms are like almost negligible. P and Q. Now the question becomes how to divide this particular quantity, or because आपने ये diagram बना तो ली, But understand, this is not of one particular firm. This was like, combined, um, sorry, uh, combined diagram of all of these all firms that were within the oligopoly to get one large thing. So the demand you're talking about here is going to be about the industry. Same with the MR, you're talking about the industry, because again, अगर AR industry का देख रहे हो तो demand industry का, and Q would be the combined output.
Right.
So yeah, तो they could just simply have particular quotas for all of the firms to produce, or they could try just leave it up to competition, and firms who are part of the oligopoly would try to attract customers towards them to try to sell the maximum amount of OQ through non-price competition and such stuff. Sahi?
Right.
The issue comes when you talk about tacit collusion. उस उधर प्राइस एंड क्वांटिटी डिसाइड करना, कुछ उधर आपके पास लीडर एंड सो ऑन की बकवास आ जाती है, which to be honest even I'm not very comfortable with. So let's still try to draw it though. So you have the demand, which is your AR, and we're talking about the demand of the industry. Okay, writing is difficult. Say, and you have supply, and the supply also take note, it will be of all firms except leader, because leader का जो idea है कि it decide again like the idea of a monopoly not having a supply curve, something very similar. The leader would just equate MC with MR and just go ahead from there. Now the only thing I was slightly confused in is I don't particularly get the leader का आपका MR कहाँ से है, because leader का MR is somewhat of this. So there's a leader AR, and then you figure out the leaders MR somewhere here. This is, now I'm not too sure why, like हमने but like yeah, that's ID कल पेपर है, कुछ ना कुछ कर लेंगे. And then you have leaders अपना MC, leaders. Now understand, leaders MC MR, he doesn't really give two hoots about the supply curve, because उसे अब MC कुछ to MR करना है, उसे हमने quantity निकालनी है like a monopolist, and वो काम करेगा, वो demand curve से price निकाल लेगा.
Okay.
All right, so this is the quantity that's going to be produced by the particular leader. Now the question here is, what quantity are we going to do for the rest of the market? Which is a very difficult question to be very honest. Sorry. My bad. One mistake. Silly mistake. We don't equate it with the demand of the entire market. We just equated with the demand
To AR.
AR जो leader का जो है. सही है. So leader, what he's done is he's ignored everything else. सही है. He's ignored supply, he's ignored demand conditions. उसने बस अपनी demand curve देखी है, which is equal to AR, and अपनी MR और MC condition देखी है, price and quantity निकाल ली. Now at that particular price, if you look at if you take this price
Supply.
and look at the demand for the entire industry, you'd get another quantity, and this is the total quantity, right?
So T minus L gives you rest of that.
Yeah, this is for the rest of the firms.
Yeah, makes sense.
So the only thing I'm not too sure of, I mean, I know this happens, but I'm not too sure why, is why the leader's demand curve is different from the industry's demand curve. But if we just accept that, if we overlook that, everything else seems logical. कि leaders demand curve है तो उसकी MI अदर होगी, MC तो वैसी उसकी अपनी ही होगी, and all he cares about is that he equates it with his demand curve. He gets quantity. He by equating MI is equals to MC, gets from his demand curve to P, and P को use करके industry की demand curve, so you get the Q total of the entire industry, and then people just try to supply. So in fact, I think the leader's demand curve had something to do with the supply of all firms except the leader. But I can't particularly remember how we got the leader's demand curve. मुझे इतना पता है कि we used to somehow, if I remember correctly, you know, get this point, then we used to get
through
this
the
point.
intersection.
Yeah, and then we just used to, like, you know, draw a line. Yeah, खैर बस ये लाइन एक बना देंगे कुछ ना कुछ, देख लेंगे, वैसे ही फेल होना है.
Obviously ना भाई.
Okay, so
खैर हो गई.
I think that's it for oligopoly. Yeah, that's it for the diagrams of market structures. Unless obviously आपको cost वाली diagrams बनानी है, जो काफी तो हमने इधर कर ली. What we can do is some थोड़ा सा, you know, diagram for oligopoly price leadership. Let's see if we get something nice here. Okay. So not really. What is this? Again, not really. I mean, all this is telling us is that, yeah, okay. So Google was a flop. I guess this is it. Let's end this one here at least.